I'm of course human, and carbon-based. When I do travel outside of Earth, I use polykinetic abilities from the Mana Springs in Ireland to hold an atmosphere around me, and to provide protection from external forces such as radiation or flying sand in space. I have a small hole in my left calf from an impact with a fast-moving particle. Thank God the Titanians were so kind as to teach me how to use my polykinetic abilities to protect myself. And they patched me up. I love the Titanians, but I'm not so fond of the Europeans. I'm sorry that's hate speech since they moved back to our oceans. I meant the Atlanteans. The Atlanteans were the first to find mana on Earth, but during a series of natural disasters, they thought the planet would die. To preserve their species, relocation to Europa was done. Europa was a giant ball of salt water orbiting Saturn, and had other water moon nearby to expand to as the species grew. The Atlanteans were not affected by cold and heat, so the distance from the sun wasn't an issue. Before they could expand to Enceladus, its surface froze. Days later, the surface of Europa began to freeze. This was a result of Saturn decreasing in size after a massive meteorite passed through it before crashing into Jupiter. As Europa's surface froze, the Atlanteans were driven deep into the center of the moon, where unfortunately the pulling and pushing of Saturn's gravity kept the water liquid. They stayed trapped there during the whole of human evolution. When the Titanians nursed me back to health, they had only one request. They wanted me to save the Europeans. I checked the planet, and the ice surface was roughly 20 kilometers thick. Fortunately, the mana from Europa not only is the best tasting I've ever drank, but it's also the most potent and tectonic effective magic. I shook the moon with the magic until it split. I was able to enter to the Atlanteans and speak to them. Only one of their scholars still spoke any Earth language, but when both people have mana in their system, their language becomes universal to everyone else with mana in their system. I spoke with many of them, and they were excited to hear their original homeworld was habitable. They had been confined for so long and had to practice such strict population control that society had crumbled. All of them agreed to return to Earth with me, and I brought them along with enough of Europa's water to sustain them. When we returned to Earth, they resurrected Atlantis. It didn't break the surface, so most people didn't have any idea. The Mariana Trench is history. Atlantis was sunk to the bottom of the deepest part of the ocean to prevent any other species from accessing their advanced technology. The returned Atlanteans couldn't read their ancient writings, and other than that one scholar who spoke a variation of Latin called Atlantan, was at its limits by simply raising the city. I'm going to spend some time helping the Atlanteans to adjust. Maybe with the introduction of mana to their system, we can read the instructions for Atlantis. I did read one statue for Julius Atlan, the creator of the Atlanteans' shield to protect the city. If we can figure out how their ancestors created a force field, Earth will be the first planet to discover this technology. Other than the Scarabs, we're the most vulnerable race in Sol.